Here we go. We're recording. What's going on, man?
Not much, brother. How you?
Cool, cool. So introduce yourself, man.
My name is Sammy. I also go by SAVSOUL. That's my DJ and dance name as well. Just to have a different identity. I am 42 years old. I've been a househead since 1992. Um,
Wow.
so I started dancing and going to the clubs at an early age. At the age of like 13, going on 14.
Oh,
The
man.
first time I actually stepped into a club, I was 10 years old because I used to dance backup, hip hop dance for a group,
Okay.
and it was
Yeah,
an
yeah,
under
yeah. That's a good
yeah
way to get inside of a club when you're underage.
yeah yeah. Plus, I mean, the club was under 21 club, so
Yeah.
from there, yeah, I started to discover house music, and then I discovered the Loft in Boston, which went from midnight Friday night to 6 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning.
Okay. So they had a name. They had a name called the Loft there too. Then
Yeah, the Loft. Yep.
probably named after the New York one in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Same kind of. I guess
So
the owners had the same kind of intent. I guess.
yeah, this place it was in a big building, 3 floors. Well, technically 4 floors.
Uh-huh.
Um, the first floor was the house room. Second floor was the techno room, and the third floor, which was the upstairs roof deck.
Right.
But they had speakers up there, and yeah, that's where everybody was every Friday night.
Okay, so was there a lot of house dancers that you traveled to New York before, so you've been to New York, and was there a lot of house dancers in that loft club?
Oh, a lot. Back in the
Okay,
90s here in Boston, there was a club or a party that did house music every night of the week.
okay,
And there have been a lot of dancers that have come out of Boston.
right.
You have Bobby Mileage, another guy named Patrick,
Bobby Mileage is
Ovi.
hold up, time out, time. Back up, back up, back up. You said Bobby Mileage is out of Boston.
I don't know if he was necessarily living in Boston, but he was at the Loft
Frequently,
every single
he was frequent
every.
frequent in Boston in the loft club in
Yep,
Boston. Okay,
it was him. This guy named Patrick, Ovius Maximus. He was there, and a whole bunch of other different um, house dancers that nowadays have ventured off. Some went to Europe, some moved to different other countries.
right.
Some kind of just stopped. They got families, and whatever the case. So myself and probably like a handful of the 90s era house dancers are still around.
Yeah,
um, I myself is the only one that's really really like still active and doing stuff.
right, right.
But I also have my friend, my partner, Dwayne. He's like my brother. He's been with me since '93. My
Okay.
sister Liza Zayas, she's been in it since '92, '91. So everybody that are like I consider like family, close friends, are
Yeah,
from that Loft era.
right.
So we've created like a nice family, nice community of people that still stuck around and still stick together.
Okay, that's dope,
Um,
man. That's some you know what? That's something I didn't even know, wasn't even aware of. You know,
yeah.
when I got with when I linked up with Rhythms, I didn't know, he had put me on to you. He had mentioned your name and he mentioned some few others, and I did not know there was really a scene up in Boston, to be honest. And see, and this is good that like now we're having such a platform like now that we can actually see what's going on around the world, and with house dance per se. Um,
So it's funny. Just a quick mention about the Loft.
yeah.
When I started going to the Loft, Amon Van Helden was actually the resident on the house floor.
Who was that? Who's the DJ?
Amon Van Helden.
Amon Van Helden. Okay, that's a
Yep.
name I gotta look up myself too. Check up on.
Yeah, he's done
Send me a link
a
when you
lot
get a
of.
chance. Send me a link to
Uh,
some of his music and stuff. And
yep.
yeah, I want to hear it. Um, and me and you had a quick conversation too. before we actually having this one right now. And it was a place that you frequently went down to New York too. You traveled a lot to go to, to master
Yep.
your craft. So you
Hmm.
did go to New York a lot too. Name some of the clubs
Yep.
you went to in New York. Because one of them was crazy because you said the Limelight, and I told
Yep.
you I salute anybody that went to the Limelight. It's just that I didn't have the heart to go to the Limelight. I went past the
Yeah.
party, I see the line, I'd be like, nah. And I knew a lot of people that went there from MTV where I danced. Some people went to the Limelight, but I just never really had the heart to go to the Limelight. That's why I said I salute anyone that's been to the Limelight.
Yeah. It definitely was an experience, but you know, me and my dance crew that I had, we were called the Almighty Circle Children. We would travel to New York a lot just because we want to kind of like broaden our understanding and our perspective of the house dance culture, of the club culture, and we knew everything basically, as far as house dance originated from New York. So we really wanted to experience that, and we were literally driving down every single weekend, you know. But the places we went to, we went to Vinyl. I went to all the locations that Shelter had parties. I went to Limelight. I went to Sound Factory Bar, Tunnel. Um, we went to the Roxy there a few times. But like I said, we wanted to try to experience as much as we possibly can. So any kind of clubs or parties that we heard of, or heard word of mouth, we would go check it out. Whether it be one time or we kept going back. But it was just more of like, you know, we were hungry. We wanted
Yeah,
to really experience more. Because for me, it's like ever since I became a house head and a club head, it's like I wanted to know more about it. Really got into the music because that's the first thing that drew me to the music.
right.
Is a pioneer DJ here. His name is DJ Bruno. He's the one that first introduced me to house music. And he also was a resident with Amon Van Helden at the Loft.
Yeah,
Um, so we found out about the Loft. We started going there, and from there, it's just like boom. I evolved to the dancer and house head that I am today. But I feel definitely New York had a major role because I got to see a much different underground
yeah,
scene than we
yeah.
did in Boston.
What was some of your clubs other than Limelight? What were some of the other clubs you had visited in New York that you went to?
Um, that was pretty much it. Just Vinyl, Shelter, um, Sound Factory Bar, Tunnel,
Yeah.
Roxy.
Wow.
Um, yeah, yeah.
Heavy,
I mean,
man. Heavy spots, man.
I met Ejo when he had long dreads. I met Shaness when he had dreads.
Yeah.
Marjorie, Khalif. A lot of like the other dancers. Because actually, when we were going there and we were actually getting to like the ciphers with them, they're like, "Oh, where you from? Brooklyn, Bronx?" I'm like, "Boston." They're like, "What? You're from where?" Like, from Boston. Like, oh wow. So a lot of people were shocked because just like you, a lot of people didn't know like Boston had dancers. But there were, like I said, a good maybe 10, 15 to 20 of us that were real dedicated
Right.
to really expanding ourselves as dancers.
But that's a lot in the numbers itself, man. And everybody did a little mix of everything, mix of hip hop, house, and other categories too, other genres, reggae, stuff like that too, right?
Yeah, that's how I was, because I was a hip
Yeah.
hop dancer. So
Yeah.
when I started integrating my moves into house music, so for me, I look at there's two separations of what we call house dance, club dance. Nowadays, what I see where there's a split is there are people that's dancing to house, and there are people that's house dancing. The ones that I call house dancing are doing the foundations and the movements that you can look right away and say, oh, he's actually house dancing, versus someone that's like maybe a contemporary dancer or a hip hop dancer or a b-boy that will go and just still get down and just dance to house music. Those are what I call dancing to house. So for me, in the beginning, I was the person dancing to house.
Yeah.
And then when I started to really understand and learn the movements from what I saw, that's when I felt like I started to evolve into a house dancer. And I think
Right.
that started to happen around like 94, because, you know, the similarities and movements that we were doing and I was seeing that people from New York was doing, you know, started to bake, like I said, integrate into my style. But for me, um, I wanted to have more creativity. I wanted to have my own identity. So I started to just play around with certain movements with body and footwork and stuff like that to really, like I said, have my own identity. And then that's, to me, that was really important because I always like to be different.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
to be in that area, but I like to kind of be different and stand out. And you know, and that's basically what I kind of just taught myself. And a lot
Yeah.
of people have to understand too is that back in the '90s, we didn't have dance classes. There were no dance classes. Our dance class was the club. You know, for
Right.
me, I watched people. I watched their movements. I try to mimic some of their movements, but then try to put my own spin to it. You know, and that was the one beautiful thing that I can say I was able to experience was that kind of understanding. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to knock people that are teaching dance classes now, because really that's the only kind of way they can really learn because what's going on now is not like how it used to be in the '90s.
Yeah.
Even in New York, you know, the club scene was just crazy. It was like you will go in nighttime and come out, it's like daylight.
Yeah. I'm gonna touch. Check this out. Um. Okay. I want to go right in about the you were saying something also too yesterday when we contacted each other. You were saying you had something to say about the clubbing versus the battles and stuff like that. I was assuming that's what you were going at, clubbing versus what's going on right now in the
Yeah.
dance scene and what you see far as virtually online, whether it be through
Hmm.
YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, that doesn't matter. Whether it's through any of those virtual platforms right there, you had something that you was like, I felt your energy, and you was like, yo, I got something to say about that. So I wanted to hear what you had to
Yeah.
say about that. I want to dive right into that, man, because
Okay.
this might touch on something.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's and another thing, like, and it's not just with you. I preach this a lot to a lot of young generation dancers that are coming up now because for me, I was there, you know, from the early days, and I want to help guide them to have them understand the actual real roots and the truth of this culture, of this dance culture, of this club culture. And a lot of these young kids now, like, you know, they see what's going on in Europe and Japan and all across the world as far as the back. And I had to let them understand, like, look, it was never like that. When I was growing up into this, we were club dancing. We would be in a cipher, dancing, conversating with other dancers. We were never battling because house music is about love, peace, happiness, and unity. You know, and when we see each other, it's like we're releasing with one another. You know, and we're conversating through dance. You know, because we were there to enjoy music that we all love, and we move freely to however way we need to move, you know, versus, yeah, there were other dancers there that were doing house dancing, certain movements, certain foundations, you know, and that's with every kind of dance. There's always got to be a certain foundation to something for it to be labeled something. And I feel like that's where it went from club dancing to house dancing. So for me, breaking down as far as battling and clubbing, battling aspects of why people have the mentality of looking at it as a battle is because it became commercialized. It was something that, you know, when I was there in the '90s, we didn't have any names to the moves. Nobody knew what that step was or what that step was. It was just, you just did it, you know? Um, or at least from my knowledge, that I didn't know there were moves. I just saw people doing it, started doing it myself and create stuff for myself. But I think that when you start to give names to dance moves, that's when you can capitalize on that and basically start to sell that. And I think that's how dance classes and battles started to birth itself. Um, and for me, it's like they took house dance to a way of like what b-boys and breakers do. You go one on one, head with one another, see who got the best move, and that's it. And people need to understand, back in the 90s, there weren't really no battles. So in Boston, and I'm just gonna speak for Boston, not anywhere else, when I was doing house dance competitions, we didn't battle. We gave a CD or whatever music to the DJ, or told the DJ what song we wanted to dance to. We freestyled for 1 to 2 minutes, and you got judged by numbers on a scoring point of what you did for musicality, movement, timing, all that stuff. And then you got the highest score at the end of the competition, you won. That's basically how, the competition was. It was never a battle. I believe, from my knowledge, first time I actually saw a battle was at Brian Green's um, dance competition in New York. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe the first time I went to that was like 95, 96. And then from there, that's when I started to see it pop up mostly in Europe. And I believe the guy that does um, Just Debut really kind of set that on the map as far as a battle.
Yeah, Bruce.
Um,
That's
yeah, Bruce.
Bruce.
Yeah. So, and it's a good thing because it expanded the whole dance culture, but it just kind of like, it created like their own little segue and own little path from house, house dance culture. Um, and that's not a problem, but it's just now it's kind of like, for me, my biggest issue is, and I'm very truthful. I'm very open when I say things and I speak about things that I love. I just feel like nowadays that you see a lot of house dancers, uh, everybody kind of looks the same.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel there's really no uniqueness to people. And I only say this because I've entered battles and competitions before in New York and in Miami and stuff like that. And people that I went up against, it's like you can tell that they went and learned that from a dance studio. And they have that mentality of like, oh, they want to go learn to try to be the best so they compete and they can win and they can have a name for themselves. And I saw that a lot. I saw going up against 3, 4 people, it was like the same kind of thing. Yeah, they might have some, different intricate footworks and stuff like that, but it's like there was really no different identity to each dancer. And I think that comes along with the dance classes, because if you have like an EJO, teaching class to hundreds or thousands of people, and they start to kind of look like him, but they don't go out and venture off and to have their own, identity or creativity, then they're all going to look like EJO. So
Yeah.
I just feel
Yeah.
like that's what's going on. And like I said, it's just to go back to like the whole clubbing and battling. Yeah, it's it is what it is. It's stuff that most of
Well,
us can't.
yeah, well, a lot of people are pretty frustrated about, even the young dancers that are doing the battling now, they're a little bit frustrated about the battles too. And you can kind of tell. My point of view is it may be a little bit different from yours. I really do myself appreciate the battles because what it's done is it has, in a way, developed some known people like we wouldn't know of, wanted
Yep.
posse because of
Yep.
them, and they're great dancers. And I want to know those guys. I want to see those guys do well, and they're the next OG. They're OGs now. They just got their OG status in a sense. Some OGs would
Yep.
disagree, but they got a whole nother generations and generations right now. Maybe 2, 3 more generations of dancers are born underneath them right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That'll come into the house scene and
Yeah. No, I mean,
bring that dance out.
I
So it's been a
yeah, I mean,
benefit, and it's been it also be a down, but it's not so many people. The thing with the battles is the things with the battles is it's not so many dancers. We're not that many dancers as we think we may be.
right.
And I'm always shocked. Like I said, I was shocked to hear, okay, well, cats coming down from Boston and New York. They was coming from Europe, and I never, to me, the whole time I'm thinking everybody's from New York or New Jersey,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
Connecticut too. I didn't even think about Connecticut so much,
Yeah.
until I heard a little bit of Connecticut. Connecticut is always another state. It's funny too. It's right up there with Jersey, and they have their stuff that they do. But Boston, I would never think. DC, I heard of later on. The
Yeah.
DC, because you got people like people don't know Jada Pinkett was a big DC house dancer before she got famous and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just crazy, man. The battles today, I was like I think a lot of our, because you would probably dance around the same time I was, a little bit later. You said 92, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said 92. Yeah, same around the same time. And what I felt the same way when I first seen the battles. I was like, what the hell, a battle? What for?
Yeah.
We could, but the whole time in Europe, being here in Europe, I see why battles. Battles, for one, it brings the interest for the young over here in Europe, because they have a different system set up, different than what we have in America. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
still got their youth centers intact. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And they're all over. They're prevalent. Whereas some places they don't have their youth centers intact. And what they do, they started the battles, and a lot of the battles are in the youth centers and stuff like that. So it's just a way for them something to do. Later down the line, in competition, the French set the high bar for definitely for competition, in the battles.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, man, they want knowledge. And even something like an interview like this, it gives them more knowledge. And I understand 100% what you mean, because, like I said, when I first started, again in 2010, just started wanting to get involved in the European side of the culture. They just barely they just started. They was just happy to be like going, man. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
it's the battles that really kept them. And
Yeah.
it kept
I
the
mean,
yeah.
I mean, like, don't get, like I said, don't get me wrong. I love the battles. I love watching, because you, like I said, you get to see a lot, So I became real good friends with Yuxin, with
Yeah.
Capella,
Yeah.
and we hung out at the last year's Blueprint, and I
Do
really
you
got
have
to learn.
Oh, pardon me. Sorry about that. I don't mean, cause you said some interesting things too. So you guys got events in Boston right now that you do have available.
Yeah, I mean, right now during the pandemic, no, but
No, of
yes,
course not. But prior to that, you had functions, something going on
yeah,
that you can bring house dancers from around the world to your location. What is it?
yeah.
What is it outside that you're doing correct right now, currently, for the community, for that house dance community?
So this shirt I'm wearing, I don't know if you can see it, it's probably backwards, but this is a company that I started. It's called Release Your Dance.
Yeah.
Basically, I do monthly parties, basically just to cater to dancers' house heads. And what I was doing when I first started this was I was doing, and a lot of people say I'm crazy. Me and Steve was doing free dance classes.
Yeah, he told me he had said something about that.
Yeah, because for me, I'm not about capitalizing on something that I love. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, I want to have more house heads be created, because it helps build a community and keeps the community and the culture going. Because I would still love to be able to see this while I'm like 80 years old. I would love to see my kids be in a house club like how I used to experience. Because for me, house music is beautiful, man. Like, I
Yeah.
live it and I breathe it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, I can't listen to any other music that just makes me really, really feel connected. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you know, I did the free dance classes because I want people to really come in to understand, what the whole culture is about. And then from the dance classes, I invited everybody to the parties, and that's what was going on for like 3-4 years. And I've done other different events too. Like during the summertime, we would do free outdoor events, and
Yeah.
everything is related to like just dancing and just being free and having a good time, and it was all with house music.
So you
Um,
have invited some of the dancers, like have you invited some of the dancers, or your city has invited Yukeson and them out to the city, to Boston?
I haven't been able to get Houston or Capella, but we got Marjorie out here
Oh
before.
wow.
We
Beautiful,
got
beautiful.
Khalif, Tony McGregor, Sekou, Cricket. We've gotten Jardy out here as well. This kid
Well,
Sean,
Jardy's nice, man. I like
yeah,
him.
Sean Berger. Yeah, so Sean Berger right now is kind of like spearheading like the house dance classes here in Boston.
Right.
And he's been doing a pretty good, you know, with that. And he's been bringing like people from overseas, different countries, around the country to Boston, as far as to like be guest, you know, dance teachers.
Right.
But yeah, throughout the years, yeah, we definitely brought a lot. Um, and I've been personally trying to get Ejo up here, you know. So, but
You've
hopefully,
been,
you know, once,
so this is a shout out to Ejo. Ejo, they need you up there in Boston again, man. Need you on
yeah.
the
And
technical.
I told Ejo, like, you want, you know, once all this stuff kind of like dies down and we're able to kind of go back to somewhat normal and we're able to do events. Yeah, I
Right.
told Ejo, like, come up here, teach class, and I'll have you spin also at one of my parties. You know, so
Yeah.
there's a lot that I want to do. And and you know, and for me, it's been great, you know. And um the favorite person that actually that came up here that I miss a lot, you know, may she rest in peace, Marjorie. Like I don't know, she's like she was phenomenal, you know. And then to actually be able to like sit down, hang out with her, and like really learn from her, and you know, experience with her was just, you know, a great time in my life. So much love to her, and also Voodoo Ray. Um, but yeah, you know, like I said, I just Capella, Yuxun, Hiro. You know, there's a lot of other dances that haven't been to Boston that I would definitely love to get up
Yeah,
here.
man. That'll be dope, man. That definitely would be dope. Um, what's gonna say? Yeah, I did. Okay, you have done your research a little bit on house. I would assume, and you done a lot of field work. So you actually been down in New York City. You actually done your you know what I mean, your homework, your housework is definitely. And I seen your videos, definitely nice, man. I seen your moves, man. Very nice. You know what I mean? Dope,
Mm,
man.
thank you.
Um, I'm a big. One thing I am, man. I had told you a little bit about me too. I said I'm was born in Staten Island, New York. I'm from New Jersey. I represent more New Jersey because that's where I spent most of my time. So I got a lot of my love at. And
Mm,
my father happens to be from Chicago. I would definitely agree with you on a lot of things you had said, man. You know, me, I went to New York a lot at shelter, stuff like that. So I really I did my top 5 who I inspired by list. We're gonna say that.
mm.
Just so we're
Yeah,
not
I saw it.
being
No, I saw that.
but they definitely perfected this dance that we're doing right now. But I also got to give a shout out to my folks out in Chicago, because we're having some discussions, and I brought up a discussion about the jack, and we're gonna get into that not today, but it's going to be a topic of house conversations because I want to make sure Chicago doesn't get forgotten in the mix
Yeah,
of dancing. You know, because they have their histories already been logged down on record, so it's
yeah,
not like it's a mystery. But New York has definitely perfected this thing what we call house dance, uh, and yeah, man, and now it's starting to come full circle now that we're able to be able to like with something like a platform like this, see that yeah, Boston was out there doing something too, and we did not know. Or you know, you said you walked up into the club, was like, yeah, where you guys from? What borough you from? No, we rep in Boston. We come way out from Boston to get down with this, and that's a beautiful thing because now we have an OG in Boston. You know what I'm saying? That's you, man, and that's dope, man. Um, Give me some of people who inspired you too, man. Give me some people, some inspiration. Doesn't have to be a top 5. Just give me some names, even if they're from Boston, around the world dancers. Doesn't really make a difference.
um
Better to
from
see.
Boston I could from Boston I could say Ovius Maximus, Patrick, Bobby. But as far as like the pioneers, Ejo is at the top. Marjorie, Khalif, Tony McGregor, Broken Terry, Shaness. Um, I think those are the people that really definitely inspired me, because when I was going to New York, like I was young, you know, so it was like when I saw that, I was just like my eyes just popped wide open. Especially like the first person that I actually was just like, wow, was Shaness. Like Brother Man had had moves. I'm just like, and it was so simple. And I think from him and Ejo, especially, is where I learned to be more simple with my moves. For me, I feel like simplicity goes a long way. And it's all about simple footwork with real nice body movements that can actually change the way you look as a dancer. For me, also, also about musicality. I love
Yeah.
playing with the music. I love like feeling the music. And for me, and this is why I tell dancers too, like you gotta understand there's a difference between dancing and feeling it. You can see a person in the club feeling it when they're just like really engaged, and you can just see like their movements are more precise, much slower, but they're doing it in a way it's like you hear the music and you're looking at them, it's like they're both just intertwined, versus someone is just doing real fast footwork and stuff like that, and then like when you listen to the music and you're looking at them, you're like, okay, it's a little bit off balance, but I can understand, like, everybody has their own kind of way, and also, depends on the speed of the songs. You know what I'm saying? But if you got like a house track that's doing like 125, 126, yeah, you're gonna be moving a little bit fast because hi-hats, cymbals, kicks are a little bit faster than something that's like 120, 121, 123, where your moves are much more slower. But and a lot of the dances that I help guided, I let them understand too, like body movement is very, really important.
Yeah.
Especially with house, because the rhythmic sounds of house music, it's not like hip hop where it's like, it's very, I don't know, very intricate in the sound, where it's like you move a certain way. It's like a little popping a certain way, where house is more of a flow. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It's not necessarily popping, it's like a flow to it. So for me, flow looks much more beautiful with nice body movements, more movements in the shoulders, in your hips, in your legs, your hands, even your fingers. So it's like, for me, like I think that's one of the major difference, that I also like to like let other dancers know. Like Ejo and Marjorie. Marjorie taught me more to be more, and I'll say this, more feminine with my moves.
Yeah.
Um,
Marjorie will let you know straight up, because she let me know straight up one time, like, you're too fast, and
mm,
I felt terrible. I slowed down, and I know better. It's not that I
yeah,
didn't know
I
better. I
mean,
knew better. I knew better to move slower. But
yeah,
you get into if I've never been in a competition before, and not like in the sense of that we're in competition, like the typical competition that we have now, my mind was not geared for that. And
yeah,
once I'm seeing everybody going so fast, and it's like kill the beat mentality. And it was
yeah,
a kill the beat mentality that really got me trying to move faster than what I should have been. And I try to develop a style to move to keep up with the speed. And at the end of the day, it ain't about that. And Marjorie said something to me to let me know that it ain't about your speed. She said straight up, she like it nice and smooth. And you know what I mean? And that's
yeah,
and that's probably something that a lot of people should think about when they're doing dancing and when they're young. It's not about being so fast. Sometimes it's about the power moves that are so subtle and simple that that, like you said, it's not so much simplicity. You write about it. It's simple, but simple not in a bad way. Simple in, like,
yeah,
some people might misinterpret, who speak English real good, might misinterpret. What do you mean simplicity? Simplicity in a perfect way, and
yeah.
that's
So
yeah, yeah.
it's funny I say that, because a lot of
In
when
a
they're like,
perfect
huh?
way.
What some of these young dancers don't understand, and I found the perfect reference for people to understand was Ejo versus Babson at House Dance Forever.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
You
Legendary.
know,
More than one time he battled, because he actually, you know, I had came here in Germany to say, I said I was going to live over here in 2005. And I said, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna just go ahead and stay here. And I went contracting out in Afghanistan, and when I was out there, but prior to me going out there, I said to somebody, I was talking to somebody, I said, yeah, they asked me what I want to do, what I really, really want to do over here. I said, I really would love to teach a dance class over here. And that was what I had in my mind. Uh, it didn't happen right away. I went to Afghanistan, but when I went to Afghanistan and YouTube was still kind of growing, and the house dance, I was of course Googling house dance on YouTube, and it came up with Ejo, and you know what I mean, and one battle with Usum, and right then I said, okay, I can still, you know what I mean, I can still do something too, so I can still dance. Come back a little bit later, I'm on Facebook. I text Link. Link says, I said, man, I don't know, man. I think I'm too old to be dancing. And Link said, well, you're not dead yet. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep, exactly.
So you're not in the grave yet. So you dance till you're dead. So Link
Yep,
gave me the
yep,
inspiration to keep moving as I'm doing right now, and actually even enter into battles. To make that step to take a step to enter into battles, because battles are not my thing, man. It never really was. You know, our battles are a little bit different, I guess, like you said, and I understood what you meant exactly. Some people may not understand what you mean, and they may
yeah,
misconstrue what you're saying. And you're coming from a place where, what I understood so far, you're coming from a place where you're saying, I've already entered into a battle. I know what it is before the battle to be clubbing and have a cipher and enjoy the exchange, because that's what the word, that's one of the words that's around in the vocabulary right now, is exchanging.
hmm
And just for you, for information, if you didn't catch some of the other conversation I had, we had a instance over here in Germany where the promoter of the event did not put house in one of the categories. And
hmm
house is pretty big over here in Germany, I would say. At least it's known enough. We have enough house dancers here to make it pretty strong. And he didn't do it, and there was a big uproar. And then he finally added it on, and you know when it's kind of too late then. So then the
yeah,
venue gets real weak at that time, you know. And what we're trying to do, man, we're trying to basically get people to understand over here that house is very unique, man. It's a very
yep,
unique art form. It can take hip hop dance, it can take reggae, it can take a lot of things, and it can be competitive. You
yep,
know, if driven in that direction. House is nothing light. It was, and when we get in the circle and we're sharing in the club and we're doing our exchanges with people, man, with other people, a battle for us, it might be that night, but it could go on another night, and it's more like, yeah, he was nice that night. A head nod sometimes is like, yo, that was dope. You know what I mean? That's
yeah,
all you needed for the night. And you
yep,
good. That was the competition. If you get a head nod, you put in work.
yep,
You know what I mean, for that night. So
yep,
that was about as much competitive as we got. So when I was ready to go see all that and just experience everything that I experienced and then enter into a battle, it was a weird space for me. Because
yeah, yeah,
you get 1 minute and 30 seconds or whatever to showcase. And that
yep,
1 minute compared to dancing 12 hours, two different things, man. You know what I mean?
yep,
So
exactly.
it is what it is.
But it's funny because I mean I still do competitions. Last year there was a competition here. Brian Green came up to judge. I won that competition, but it was funny because the people that I was competing against, I didn't even battle them. I actually started club dancing with them, and they were like, "Huh?" Because when they came out, I was like, "Work it, work that shit. Come on, let's see it. Let's
Right, right.
dance." I wasn't like looking at him across the floor like, "Oh, I got you." It was just like, "Yo, come
Yeah,
on, let's
like,
dance."
yeah.
And they were confused by it, and I was just like, and then I came out, and I was just real simple. I started doing real simple moves, dancing to the beat, and they was just like, "What?" And then it was like, for me, like that, if I'm gonna enter a battle, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go in there and represent the club
Right.
as a club head. to let them see, like, okay, granted, what you've been learning for this past few years, that's not the full spectrum. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? We're from the early days, and if we're still around, I want to be able to present this to you, so you
Right.
can broaden your perspective on what this thing really is. You know, and that's what I do. Like, even if when I do dance classes, I don't even call it dance classes anymore. I call it a house dance guidance. You know what I'm saying? I want to act not like a teacher, but more like a guidance counselor. I want to be said, you know, if someone's coming doing something, I'll ask, be like, hey, slow down a little bit. Listen to the kicks, listen to the hi-hats, you know, even listen to the vocals. And I tell dancers too, I told them one day, try to dance to the lyrics. They're like, what? How can you do that? Like, listen to the song and try to dance to the lyrics.
Yeah, listen to take the whole song apart. Hear what they're
Yep,
saying.
yep, exactly.
Take the
Yeah.
time
So
to
like you
hear what's
said,
going on. Yeah.
and that's why I love what you said as far as house dance. It's very, very unique. You know, I don't think there's any other kind of dance style that really could compare to that. You know, the only other dance style I could see comparing to that can segue into it and really understand it is popping.
Yeah.
Popping uses a lot of body movements. All they really need to do is add in like a nice
Well, you
um
know, they had popping. Oh, okay, little big disconnect.
uh
Yeah, yeah, okay. No problem.
oh,
We worked through it. Yeah,
I'm back.
they had a you know, I don't want to get too much into something I really don't know so much about with the popping and stuff like that. I have my opinion on it.
Hmm.
What has just happened because of Funk the System. I mean, not Funk. Pardon me, not Funk the System. Excuse me out there. Wrong, wrong one. Funkin' Styles, because we got another
Okay,
one
yeah.
that's called Funkin' System. Not my man Stevie. I'm not knocking him. I love his format. Um, and you know, it was just a little strange, man, because even right now, as we speak, and you speaking of popping, I want to take it to tonight. Well, actually, this afternoon, in about maybe in like 1 hour or so, I think around your time. Bravo will be coming online. I don't know which platform it will be, but he'll be discussing lofting.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That the term is not a dancer term, but they're coming from freestyle. I'm very
Mm.
interested to hear what he has to say because he was an older dancer before we were.
Yeah.
He actually, his generation is a generation that let us inside the door and say, "Yeah, you guys, we're kind of a hip hop generation that came
Mm.
into house." Because of the timeline of house is so close together. Now, when I was going to the club, you know, we knew the term. It was versatile. When we said loft dancers, when someone said lofting, we knew exactly what it meant because of the older dancers that were there. And I know you know because you went to some of the clubs too. You went to the
Yep.
shelter. You've been to the
Yep.
shelter, so you know how it is to come in and listen to the music. It's house music early on from 12 o'clock to maybe like 6 o'clock, and then they start playing the classics. And the
Yep.
classics, the DJs switch up. You know that. You know what I mean. And from there on, you'll see a lot of the older dancers that were from the loft generation,
Yep.
you know. And someone told you back then that I'm lofting, you knew exactly what that person meant with that,
Yep. Yep.
right? I think Bravo is going to explain a little bit more about what that is, and I'm just curious to know. And I think maybe we need to tune in too because you're from my generation too that actually went to the shelter. I'm a shelter. I'm born in a shelter. That's
Yep.
my birth date is the shelter. So I'm pretty easy. You know, I go no further back than that. I couldn't tell you what they were doing prior to that. You know what I mean? But I know there were people from the loft that were in the shelter. And you
Yep.
know, always the stories are from their point of view is, man, you guys didn't see anything. You should have been when we were at the loft. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm just very curious because see the thing is, I just wanted to see even with your perspective, see what you think about it too. Because if I can understand what how he's ready to present what he's going to present to the people,
Mm.
but I'm always nervous that maybe if he presents it a certain way that maybe his generation will no longer exist, which is, it can't be, because when you look on YouTube, and that's what I'm referencing from the battle point of view, because now the young people want to know, well, what's going on? What's this? What's that? What's that? What's this? And Google is accessible. They can search whatever they want to search. If you say
Yeah.
something, they don't have to necessarily, they'll be like, yeah, okay, that's what you say. Let me go look this up, see if it's real. What he's saying was real. And if you look up Loft on YouTube and you look up, or YouTube, YouTube, you look up lofting, you're gonna find loft dance heads. If you look up, if you look up freestyle, comes up everything. That freestyle
Yeah.
comes, everything comes up with freestyle. So
Yep.
if we're gonna take away loft, I mean, I would see, I would love to. I think I'm gonna kick it with Bravo anyway, but I think it's something we need to tune into today, and the people out there need to check what Bravo has to say. I think it's very important what he's gonna say. I think this may spark a conversation that probably needed to be had, and we haven't had it, because there was a generation before us that boogied. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, I love Bravo, and he definitely has a lot of knowledge from the times that I've seen him posting up videos and speaking about certain dance styles and certain dances. Like like for me, like you definitely learn a lot. I think him from his generation, he's probably like one of the only ones that's really out there trying to have people understand the roots and the truth
yeah, yeah, yeah.
of what it is. You know what I'm saying? So like that's how I am here in Boston. And like I want to be the one to like really have people understand the roots and truth of for what I experienced back in 92, and from 92 on, just because a lot of these younger generation dancers, they don't get it. And I believe and I feel like they don't get it because they're not able to have the same experience that we did back in the day.
But you know what? I think Bravo's generation felt the same. No, no. I will go as far as to say Bravo's generation felt the same way about us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you look at it, from
I go
history.
far as to say his generation felt the same about the hip hop generation in house.
Yeah.
In the club. No, no, we're not gonna say in house. Excuse me. We're gonna try to do it right. They felt something about the hip hop generation in the clubs in New York.
Yep. Yeah.
So, and I know,
I mean, if you look at it, what it really was hip hop dancers going into disco clubs
yeah,
with the lofters, watching
yeah,
what they were doing,
yeah,
started mimicking their moves, and they integrated that into their hip hop steps, and
yeah,
boom, you
yeah,
have birthed house dance.
yeah,
So it's like, but it's good because it's connecting. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? It's connecting and it's evolving. So for me, I felt that's what the battle kind of is. It's kind of like an evolved version of like what the club dance really is.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I wanted
You
to
know?
say and that's how we're tying it together right now too, because what you had said originally. Like I said, some people might get this conversation that me and you are having misconstrued, that we're knocking something, we're criticizing something, we're
No, yeah,
sounding like a
yeah.
bunch of old men. It's not. It's not. It's nothing to do with that. We're
Yeah,
just having a conversation, and we're just enlightening ourselves, and we're talking, and we're bringing some from what we know.
yeah,
Um, our perspective. I think I really do think a lot. I want to have this conversation with you again. We're coming up on the hour. I want you to give some shout outs, because this is deep. I'm going to leave it at that, because this gets juicy. And people can dissect with this information that we just put out now. And maybe later down the line, we have a talk again. And yeah, anytime.
Oh
So,
man, like stuff with the house culture, club culture, this can be like a whole month-long conversation
yeah,
because there's
yeah,
so many things to dissect. You know what I'm saying? So, and it goes all the way back to disco days. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So there's like a lot of rich history and a lot of present history. I mean, present situations, and then there's a lot of future stuff to speak about. So yeah,
Exactly,
um,
man. And the future
yeah,
definitely is coming. The future is
oh yeah,
coming. Yeah.
yeah.
And this right here, what's going on, will be changing. What's going to happen in the future, because we got a lot of online battles now. We hope that's not a mainstay, but we know it's going to be more than likely. It is going to be here to stay. India is on the rise. India's coming out. A lot
Oh
of dancers
yeah,
are coming through
man.
from India because of online. Africa's doing their own thing, man. They got Afro beat. Um, we had topics on should there be Afro house. We said no. We our opinion is we already had that element added into the house already. And house is one of those things that's why I said it's very unique, because you can add on. It's an add-on, like you said, from the disco era, but it's also an add-on for our dance style. We could take any dance style you want to give us in house, and we'll take it.
Yeah,
So we'll take
yeah,
it. If you want to spin on your head all night, we got you. Listen to the
yeah,
house music, we got you. So it's
yeah.
nothing,
That's
man.
it, man.
Yo, so I want to
But
thank you very much for this conversation. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
yeah, I mean, my boy Dwayne, Liza Zayas, to all the phenomenal DJs that we have here in Boston. You know, Bruno, Leo Alacon, Chris Grant, Househead Pete. You know, and you know, many other more other great DJs out there too.
Yo,
You know,
big up to the DJs. Definitely,
yeah,
man.
they are the one
Essential,
that's yes, that's
essential
kind of like
personnel.
upstairs the sheet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
DJs are
yeah,
essential personnel. Big shout out to the DJs.
yeah.
Yo, so
As far as all the dancers that you know, obviously, much love, rest in peace, Marjorie Smart, Voodoo Ray,
rest in peace.
um,
Voodoo Ray,
Ejo, Khalif, Sekou,
Marjorie
Tony
Smart.
McGregor, Brooklyn Terry. Um, oh, on the west side, you got Koflo, Tsunami, um, and you know, to all the dancers out there in the world, you know, especially to you, man. Much love to you
Thank you,
for
bro.
actually, you know, having this nice engagement. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, man.
it's always good to really be able to talk with somebody else from kind of like the same era, so we can just like you know reflect on like, oh, remember back then it was like this, it was like that, yeah, you know. So it's like I'm really blessed and happy that I was able to experience the '90s. And that's why I tell people, you know, and
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Me too, man. Same here, man. Yo, so peace, man. Yeah, we'll link up again, man. We'll definitely do that, man. All right. Boston is in the building. Peace.
yes, sir. All right, peace, brother.